Caroline Ellison was the CEO of Alameda Research, an integral part in the largest criminal enterprise in crypto history, and she is about to get away with it with a slap on the wrist. She was facing up to 110 years in prison, but because she flipped and took a plea deal and said, yes, I knowingly took billions of dollars from FTX and basically gambled it away, and we knew it was illegal, and she's ratting on SBF, her plea deal says that if she cooperates and the authorities are happy with the way she cooperates, they're going to drop all the charges except some criminal accusations regarding tax fraud, and she's only going to be looking at maybe a few years in jail or maybe she just gets away with it with just a fine. And I think that's absolutely absurd. How do we know that she wasn't one of the masterminds behind the entire operation? In fact, an insider revealed to Bitcoin.com that her personal trading account was in the hole by $1.3 billion. All of this, the entire collapse of FTX, may be Caroline Ellison's fault. But because she's this cutesy-dootsy ex-girlfriend of Sam Bankman-Fried, no one's paying attention. It's all Sam Bankman-Fried, Sam Bankman-Fried, Sam Bankman-Fried, and maybe rightfully so. But looking into the Caroline Ellison story, she's not as stupid as people think. She's not some innocent victim here that was in love with this bad guy and made some terrible decisions. She went ahead and lost billions of dollars trading with investors' funds from FTX, knowing that it was illegal. And just because now she flipped doesn't mean that her jail sentence should be reduced from over 100 years to basically nothing. That is corruption. How is the legal system fair? Sam Bankman-Fried had a bond set at $250 million. Do you know what Caroline Ellison's bond was set at? $250,000. I'll help you with the math. That's 0.1% of what Sam Bankman-Fried's bail was at. Why? She was an integral and willing party in orchestrating one of the largest financial frauds in U.S. history. If Charles Ponzi was alive today, he'd have a massive crush on Caroline Ellison. Like, I understand that we live in a two-tier legal system, one for the rich, one for the poor. Now, I don't know if it's the media or if it's her lawyers trying to paint this picture that she was just this cutesy-dootsy ex-girlfriend of Sam Bankman-Fried who was just this nerdy, naive girl, but she was actually quite brilliant. I mean, back in high school, she was captain of math league. She studied statistics at Stanford. Both of her parents are economics professors, and I find that kind of ironical that also Sam Bankman-Fried's parents were college professors, so it seems like college professors aren't really producing the greatest next generation and aren't doing an amazing job raising their children, especially morally and ethically, I would say. And it's also hilarious that both Sam Bankman-Fried and Caroline Ellison were passionate about effective altruism and both just wanted to change the world for the greater good. Meanwhile, they are allegedly one of the worst financial fraudsters in the history of the United States. Going back to the treatment that Caroline Ellison is getting right now, I don't understand it, because the legal system shouldn't look differently upon someone because they were parading around and doing a lot of interviews as Sam Bankman-Fried was, and he was the face of the company, at least publicly, but she was the CEO of Alameda Research. Sam Bankman-Fried was the CEO of FTX. Both FTX and Alameda Research were involved in this huge criminal organization that was basically a Ponzi scheme. So why is the CEO of one of these companies getting let off the hook, but the other one is going to take all the blame, going to get the book thrown at him and get like 150 years in prison? And it's actually funny that her bail was set at 0.1%, because I think her jail sentence is going to end up being 0.1% of what Sam Bankman-Fried gets. Also, why do authorities, prosecutors even care about the stuff that Caroline Ellison says about Sam Bankman-Fried? They should be going at mid-tier staff or other people at the company that can really give an objective view of what was going on, objective testimony. I mean, the lawyers of Sam Bankman-Fried are going to point out that Caroline Ellison is an ex-girlfriend. She used to sleep with Sam Bankman-Fried. Obviously, she's going to be upset and angry and say whatever the heck she wants to to save herself and to throw her ex-boyfriend under the bus. The only thing I could think of is that Caroline Ellison knows where a lot of the funds are. Maybe a lot of the money is stashed in some accounts, and she said, listen, I know this information. I can help you guys get the money that Sam Bankman-Fried hid. I know exactly how he did it. I helped him do it. This is different. But if it's just her going and pleading guilty and then going ahead and turning and ratting on SBF, and for that, her entire jail sentence gets completely pardoned, there is something very corrupt about that. And also looking into it, speaking of her parents that were college professors, her dad used to work with Gary Gensler. These are very, very connected people. If you don't know, Gary Gensler is the head chair of the SEC. And so maybe her parents are a lot more powerful than Sam Bankman-Fried's college professor parents and compliance lawyers, as Kevin O'Leary always loves to mention in every single interview. And so I want to hear from you guys. Do you think that this is a fair situation, that Caroline Ellison is going to get away with this when Sam Bankman-Fried takes all the heat, the blame, and the jail sentence? I think it should be equal. I think at minimum, she should get 50 years in prison if the allegations are true. Let's dive in and take a look at that interview that everyone's sharing around, because there's parts in it that they don't show, which I went ahead and cropped, and I'm going to show them to you right now. And I want to hear from you guys. Am I just being crazy? Like, when I'm looking at this, I'm like, this is a brilliant, potentially mastermind of the entire operation, but everyone's just like, oh, nerdy girl in glasses. She was cute, in love with SBF. And look, she's so stupid. She's saying on an interview she only used basic math. So let's just let her off the hook. You know, just an innocent girl. Her parents are really powerful and nice lawyers. She comes from a good family. Let's just blame SBF and put him in jail for life and let her go ahead and take a few years off and then perpetuate other financial crimes on the people. I think it's absolutely absurd, ridiculous, and I want to point it out. And I also saw no one's making videos about this at all. Come on, finance community on YouTube. Let's hold everyone's feet to the fire when it comes to this crazy FTX debacle. I'm going to follow the small stories. I'm going to follow the big stories, and we're going to talk about it. And it's going to be hell's entertaining, but it's also going to be educational, and we're going to learn how to spot these frauds and not fall for these giant Ponzi scheme scams. So with that being said, let's dive in and take a look at the interview that Caroline Ellison did.
Yeah, absolutely could pull it off without my math degree. Use very little math. Use a lot of like elementary school math. Like
Take off without your mathematics degree, or it has been the pillar of your trading activity?
Yeah, absolutely could pull it off without my math degree. Use very little math. Use a lot of like elementary school math, like arithmetic, probability, but not really any of the advanced stuff I learned in college. I think like being comfortable with risk is very important. And yeah, being kind of fairly, I don't know, quick to react and good at making judgments in very uncertain environments, I think. There are a lot of people who are like very smart, but aren't good at necessarily the very like messy world of trading, especially crypto trading. You never have all the information. So you kind of just have to make your best guess based on what you can see. Yeah, in terms of emotions, it's definitely something that I've had to work on and that I think I've gotten better at as I've been trading. It's kind of very, when you start out as like an intern and you do something and accidentally lose, maybe $1,000 for your desk, you're like, oh God, like everyone's gonna hate me now, like this is terrible. And yeah, over time you have to sort of get comfortable with larger and larger swings of money. I'm trying to think of a good example of a trade where I've lost a ton of money. Well, I don't know. I probably don't want to go into specifics too much with that.